Thank you to everyone for attending tonight's meeting of the San Bruno Community Foundation's Board of Directors. We are in person at the San Bruno Recreation and Aquatic Center, and we welcome members of the public who are attending via Zoom. We appreciate your patience, and if we have any technical hiccups, we ask speakers to speak loudly and clearly so that the OWL camera can pick you up and that our online guests, as well as everyone in the room, can hear you well. A couple of technical items before we get to the content of tonight's meeting. Please know that we want to hear from you. Members of the public who are here at the Recreation and Aquatic Center in person, if you would like to speak during public comment for items within the jurisdiction of the board that are not on the agenda or on any of the agendized items, please fill out one of the speaker cards that is on the table near the door. If you are attending on Zoom and you would like to address the board during public comment for items not on the agenda or on any of the agendized items, please use the raise your hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Once you raise your hand, the executive director will see that someone wants to talk, and she will let me know that you are waiting. When it's your turn to speak, the executive director will call your name and unmute you. If you are joining us by telephone, you may also address the board during public comment by pressing *9, and the executive director will address you and unmute you. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to address the board. Please note that individuals may only speak once per agenda item. Also note that prior to the meeting, we received 6 emails from the public related to item 7A. On the agenda, all board members have received a copy and copies have been made available to the public. So let's begin the meeting. I now call the regular meeting of the San Bruno Community Foundation Board of Directors of February 4th, 2026 to order. And I'll turn it over to Secretary Gomez for item number 2, roll call.
Thank you very much. Board member Supriya Perry is excused with notice. Board member Jessica Nguema.
Here.
Board member Larry Franzola. Here. Treasurer Belinda Wong.
Here.
Secretary Raul Gomez is present. Vice President Jim Roy. Here. President Melissa Natani Jones.
Here. Thank you. Item number 3, public comment. Would any members of the public like to address the board on any topic that is within the jurisdiction of the board but is not on the agenda? For those on Zoom, please indicate so by using the raise of hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
No hand raised online.
Okay. I'll turn it over to item number 4, approval of minutes. Secretary Gomez.
Thank you. In your meeting packet tonight are minutes from our January 7th, 2026 regular board meeting. Do any board members have any questions? Back to you.
Okay. If there are no questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over back to you, Secretary Gomez.
Thank you. Board member Supriya Perry is excused with notice. Board member Jessica Nguema.
Aye.
Board member Larry Franzola.
Aye.
Treasurer Belinda Wong.
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Roy.
Aye.
President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye. Thank you. Moving to item number 5, Executive Director's Report. I will turn it over to Leslie.
Good evening, everyone. I have just a couple of highlights to flag for you this month. First of all, the city council did approve our officers, which we finished electing them at the last meeting. And at the council's January 13th meeting, they approved our slate of officers as part of their consent calendar. Also at the last board meeting, the board authorized our change in signatories on both our Wells Fargo and Fidelity accounts with the election of the new treasurer. All of that paperwork has been taken care of now, and PAC has been removed from our accounts, and Belinda has been added to both our Wells Fargo and Fidelity accounts. So that is all taken care of. Just a brief reminder for those of you who have not finished your ethics requirements, either your Form 700, your conflict of interest statement, and for some of you, your ethics training. Please do that by the deadlines, and thank you to those of you who completed that. And then I also just wanted to let you know that we had to reschedule the investment committee meeting. That was originally on its regular schedule, scheduled for Wednesday, February 18th. Due to that being President's Week and a number of people being on vacation, we weren't able to get a quorum committed for that meeting. So we have canceled the regular meeting and scheduled a special meeting on Monday, February 23rd at 4:30 p.m. at City Hall, room 101, to have that quarterly meeting. And that is my report.
Great, thank you, Leslie. Are there any comments from the public? Any from the board? Okay. That concludes the executive director's report. Thank you so much, Leslie. Moving on to item number 5, consent calendar. Receive and approve treasurer's report. We have one item on the consent calendar today as listed in the agenda. Would any members of the public like to comment on this consent item? Any from the board? Okay. If there are no questions from the board, I'll call for motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, and I'll turn it over to Secretary Gomez for roll call vote.
Thank you very much. Board member Sophia Perry is excused with notice. Board member Jessica Nguyen.
Aye.
Board member Larry Franzola.
Aye.
Treasurer Belinda Wong.
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Rowan.
Aye.
President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye,
All ayes.
thank you so much. Moving on to item number 7, conduct of business. Receive report from ad hoc committee on strategic planning regarding proposal to provide the San Bruno Park School District with long-term funding to support the outdoor education program as one of the foundation's final legacy projects. Receive presentation from the San Bruno Park School District on the outdoor education program and provide any board comments on potential next steps. As the committee chair, I will make this report. Thank you to the vote. Thank you to you, Vice President Jim Ruane and Secretary Gomez for also serving on this committee. There are several parts of this agenda item. First, I will give an update from the committee on the various legacy projects we've been investigating. Second, Leslie and I will present a proposal from the committee for the foundation to provide long-term funding to the San Bruno Park School District for the outdoor education program as one of our final legacy projects. Third, Superintendent Matt Duffy, San Bruno Education Foundation, Heather Latta, and 6th grader Abby Latta are here with us tonight to provide an overview of the outdoor ed program and its tremendous educational value. And finally, we would like to receive feedback from the full board on the outdoor ed funding proposal. So I'll begin with the update from the committee. As the committee has reported previously, it is focusing on researching and monitoring a small number of potential final legacy projects for the board to consider. At its January meeting, the board approved one of these final legacy projects, additional grant funding for permanent lighting as part of the Crestmore Fields project. With the board's action in January, we committed just under $2 million of our remaining net assets for the lights at the Crestmore Fields. So we checked that one off. We are now primarily focused on 2 additional legacy projects. Last May, the board expressed its plan to use the bulk of the foundation's remaining total net assets to support the city's plans to replace Fire Station number 52. And the city council agreed to having the foundation serve as a funding partner on this project. The initial issue for the project is determining the location of the new fire station. Further work on this project, including beginning the design process, is on hold until the site is confirmed. The city has identified the Caltrains lot bordered by Skyline Boulevard and San Bruno Avenue and Glenview Drive as its preferred site for the new fire station. It has been in discussions with Caltrans regarding a possible land swap to obtain the site, but there has been limited forward progress and an agreement between the city and Caltrans on the land in question by the end of the fiscal year seems unlikely. The city is still in the process of hiring a permanent fire chief, allowing our delayed retirement last fall, and the new chief will likely play an important role in the development of this project. Last week, a new assistant city manager joined the city and is being tasked with shepherding the fire station project. We hope that this staff assignment will help move the project forward. We understand that dealing with a state agency like Caltrans takes time and require jumping through many bureaucratic hoops, but we also are concerned that the drawn out timetable for the city to determine the location of the new fire station will extend the timeline for the foundation to finalize the grant supporting this legacy project. Moreover, we have concerns that the slow progress on the fire station may ultimately have broader implications for our timeline to wind down the foundation's operations. The other legacy project the committee has been pursuing is one to support the San Bruno Park School District. As previously reported last summer, the committee met with Superintendent Matt Duffy and Education Foundation President Heather Latta about the district's strategic initiatives and potential opportunities for the foundation to make a large final legacy project investment benefiting the district. The ideas we discussed, larger capital projects and medium-sized programming and staffing needs. Given the large budgets for the suggested capital projects, the comparatively smaller allocation of SBCF funds available, and the fact that the district has funds to meet its capital project needs through existing Measure X bond funds and the potential sale of the Ingwell site, the committee did not find a foundation investment in one of the district's capital projects to be particularly compelling. Instead, the committee looked to identify a program area of great benefit across the district with significant funding needs and develop a plan for long-term funding support. The committee is now ready to share with the board its proposal for a final legacy project supporting the schools. So this leads us to the second part of the agenda item. The committee is proposing that as one of the final legacy projects, the foundation provide the San Bruno Park School District with long-term funding to support the outdoor education program for fifth graders. As you probably know, Outdoor Ed is an award-winning one-week overnight camp program run by the San Mateo County Office of Education in cooperation with local schools throughout the county and the San Francisco YMCA camp at Jones Gulch, which is located in La Honda in the Santa Cruz Mountains. The program was originally started here in San Bruno nearly 60 years ago, and today about 200 San Bruno Park School District fifth graders and their teachers participate in the program each year. In a few minutes, Superintendent Duffy will tell us more about this program, which for many San Bruno students is a transformative milestone experience that not only develops in them an appreciation for the natural world, but also nurtures self-confidence, self-esteem, and independence. It is also an expensive program, costing most students a program fee of $550, a price tag that is challenging even for many middle-class families. On top of that, the school must hire buses at the cost of $2,500 each to transport students to and from the campsite. Every year, fifth grader families and the school PTA struggle to raise the funds necessary to enable all students who want to attend and cover the program fees and transportation expenses. The PTAs report fundraising fatigue related to outdoor ed, which is often their biggest annual cost and results in significant pressure to run bake, chocolate, popcorn, wrapping paper, and many other types of sales. The school district typically covers the cost of the $500 stipends for the teachers who attend the students, but does not have any dedicated funding to supplement the student program fees and transportation expenses. The total outdoor ed budget for the district this year is about $135,000. Broken down, program fees are about $109,000 and buses cost $20,000 and teacher stipends are $6,000. Assuming the district is able to cover the teacher stipends, families and the PTAs face the burden of covering the remaining $129,000. In focusing on outdoor ed as a program to support, The committee noticed that outdoor ed is unique, transformative experience for participating students. For many, this is their first opportunity to attend a step-away camp, to be away from home, and to experience the redwoods and beach environments. The committee also noted that all fifth graders in the district at all 4 elementary schools have the opportunity to participate in this program. The cost of attending the program is high, so that SBCF support of the program would make a meaningful difference to the students and their families. Moreover, the program is one that is likely to last long term. It has been in existence for nearly 60 years, is run by the County Office of Education, and is widely acclaimed. In sum, the committee concluded that outdoor ed is exactly the kind of transformative district-wide program, an experience that all district fifth graders should have the opportunity to attend, regardless of their economic circumstance, that would be ideal for one of the foundation's final legacy projects. The district suggests that the foundation contribution of about $100,000 per year would provide a substantial benefit to the outdoor ed program. The district has not requested funding to cover 100% of the cost, as the district can continue to chip in funds to cover the teacher stipends, and it is responsible and valuable to have students and parents through direct payment or fundraising contribute some portion of the cost to attend. The committee is recommending that the foundation designate approximately $2 million to provide a long-term funding source for the district's outdoor ed program. In doing so, we believe that SBPSD would be the only district in the county with such a dedicated ongoing funding source for outdoor ed, giving every fifth grader in the district the opportunity to participate, regardless of their family's ability to pay. I am now going to ask Leslie to outline the details of our proposal to provide long-term funding for outdoor ed. Leslie?
I'm raising the slide, Leslie. I think the shoes. There we go. Okay, so let me walk you through the committee's thinking as it came up with this proposal so you understand the thought process. The committee considered several different funding structures. One idea was just to give one large grant amount, maybe $1 million or so, a little more, either directly to the district or through the Education Foundation, to provide about $100,000 over a set period of time, like 10 years. The committee, however, preferred to find a way to provide a longer-term source of funding that would last more than just a very finite period of time. The committee was really focusing on this being a legacy project, one that would have a lasting long-term impact, like the RAC that we're in, like the fire station, like the Crestmar Field, something that would last for generations. So the committee concluded that creating an endowment to support outdoor ed would have the greatest ability to provide a meaningful ongoing source of funding over the long term, if not in perpetuity. The committee then looked at different options for setting up such an endowment. It concluded that the district and the Ed Foundation, neither of whom currently manage any endowed funds, may not be best situated to take on the administrative logistics of managing an endowment. So then we looked at larger, long-standing community foundations that do provide this service to nonprofits. We talked to the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and the San Francisco Foundation. The way these work is that our foundation could transfer funds to one of those two community foundations to set up what's called a designated endowment fund. Those funds would become assets of the community foundation and be invested as part of their endowment pool. And an annual payout based on the community foundation's spending policy would be made annually to the designated beneficiary or the school district. Based on the structure, fees, and performance of the two community foundations' designated endowment funds, The committee concluded that Silicon Valley Community Foundation, which has about $16 billion in not million, $1 billion in assets under management, and not quite half 500 million in its endowment pool specifically. The committee concluded that Silicon Valley would be the best fit for our foundation if we decided to set up an endowment with a third party for outdoor ed. The committee was leaning towards granting the funds immediately to another entity like Silicon Valley Community Foundation to set up an outdoor ed endowment. But it recently shifted its thinking after receiving the latest report from the city on the slow progress on the site negotiations on Fire Station 52. In light of the potentially extended timeline for the fire station project, the committee instead now recommends that the board designate approximately $2 million as an endowment fund specifically for outdoor ed. We would restart our quasi-endowment and have Sandhill manage the fund as it has in the past, in accordance with our investment policy and the investment operating plan. Starting in the 27-28 fiscal year, we would make an annual grant of about $100,000 to the Education Foundation for outdoor ed funded out of quasi-endowment payout. Delaying the payouts, the start of payments until 27-28 would enable the funds transferred to the quasi-endowment to grow for at least 1 year before withdrawals take place. And that's typically how endowments are set up. You don't just set it up and then start drawing immediately. You've got to let it grow under the endowment model. So that the district and its families could immediately start to realize the benefits of this commitment, the committee also recommends making a separate $140,000 grant to the Education Foundation to provide outdoor ed funding of $40,000 in the current school year, 25-26, and $100,000 in the 26-27 school year. The district and Ed Foundation informed us that the PTAs are struggling to raise the necessary funds for outdoor ed this school year, and a smaller bridge amount of $40,000 would relieve significant pressure on the PTAs and parents this year. The $140,000 will be paid out shortly after board approval, so it makes sense to grant those funds directly out of the strategic pool rather than move the funds to quasi-endowment and then immediately withdraw them to make the grant payments. So the total allocation being recommended for outdoor ed is $2.14 million. $140,000 grant to SBCF for this school year and the next school year, and then designating $2 million as quasi-endowment, with payout to cover an annual grant of about $100,000, ideally inflation adjusted to SBCF for outdoor ed, while the foundation holds those funds. Once the foundation has a clear timeline for the wind down of operations, and we know more about the whole fire station project, it can then transfer the quasi-endowment funds designated for outdoor eds to Silicon Valley Community Foundation or another appropriate organization if one appears at that time. By establishing a long-term commitment to outdoor ed and managing the funds internally for the early portion, the foundation retains control of the funds while we continue operations. This allows us to review the impact of the grant funding during the first 4 years, monitor the market and assess the performance of the quasi-endowment, and evaluate the performance of the endowments of SBCF or other potential third-party organizations. Based on these assessments, we can then make necessary adjustments at the time the funds are transitioned. The approximate $2 million endowment target is based on modeling by the Silicon Valley Community Foundation investment staff, as if in the case that they were to start managing the endowment fund, as well as by our team at Sandhill, if they were to manage it as part of our quasi-endowment. If the board supports this idea, the committee and I will work with our team at Sandhill to finalize a recommended starting purpose amount for this proposal, but it would be close to 2 million, if not 2 million. It's important to emphasize that a $2 million endowment fund provides a meaningful, dedicated source of funding for outdoor ed for the district over the long term. It does not guarantee a $100,000 inflation-adjusted payout in perpetuity, because that's not how endowments typically work. If Silicon Valley were to manage the endowment fund, its spending policy would determine the actual payout based on a set percentage typically 4 to 5%, based on 12 trailing quarter balances. They use a smoothing formula rather than a specific dollar amount. So it's a percentage of the value over averaged over 12 quarters, is how they determine the payout. A starting corpus of $2 million would likely result in an annual distribution of around $100,000 adjusted for inflation, but that would depend on the fund's performance and market conditions. So it's impossible to guarantee that the fund will consistently pay out exactly $100,000 adjusted for inflation each year, or that the fund will last forever. Some years the amount might be less, some years more. A major recession could significantly reduce the balance of the designated fund, resulting in a reduced annual payout. And some market volatility over the long term is expected. That's the way economic cycles go. But it is almost certain that such an endowment could provide a meaningful annual contribution to outdoor ed over the long term. So some years, if there is a huge recession, maybe it's only $85,000, $90,000, inflation adjusted, but that is still a significant, meaningful source of funding for the district. While the funds are still with our foundation, we will have the ability to adjust the annual distribution to a specific amount, which could depend on fund performance and the program's needs, and not as a set percentage, giving us more flexibility to manage the funds. If there are additional funds remaining when the foundation winds down, and it makes sense to add more to that endowment pool, the foundation could increase the total as it transfers it to SBCF or another organization. Just to provide some context for this proposal, let me note that as of the end of December 2025, the amount available for the final legacy projects was more than $21.6 million. We actually had seen some appreciation in the investment portfolio over the second half of 2025. That's based on our total net assets and a $5 million reservation for ongoing operations. The recently approved Crestmore Field Lights grant funding reduced that amount by nearly $2 million so that takes us down to about $19.7 million. A commitment of $2.2 million for the outdoor ed program would leave a balance of about $17.5 million for Fire Station 52 and any other final legacy projects. The balance, of course, can and will fluctuate based on the performance of the foundation's investment portfolio and its impact on total net assets. But we are in a very good position. When we originally approached the city about helping with Fire Station 52, we said roughly in the $15 to $19 million range is what we thought would be available. So 17.5 puts us right in the middle of that. So that's the committee's proposal in a nutshell. So I'm going to turn it back to President Natani Jones.
Thank you, Leslie. Let me now turn the podium over to Superintendent Duffy to provide more information on the outdoor education program. With him are Heather Lotta, president of the San Bruno Education Foundation, and Abby Lotta, Heather's daughter and a current sixth grader, who will share what her outdoor ed experience was like. Then we will hear comments from the public and allow the board members to provide feedback on the proposal we just presented. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Well, good evening, board members and President Tani Jones and Executive Director Hadamiya. Just want to say thank you for this incredible proposal. We are just ecstatic about this potential opportunity to help so many different stakeholders in the community. It's incredible. It's something we've talked about for a long time. It's something we've engaged with you. And I just want to appreciate the ongoing partnership. We've had a lot of conversation over the years about different projects, different ideas, different ways you might invest in us. And to see this proposal, it's really fulfilling. So you've heard a ton about outdoor ed. I just have a couple of slides. I think it might be more powerful to hear from our students than me. So I'll wait for Leslie, but I just, put some pictures together, share a little bit of what you've already heard, that this program supports about 200 students every year. And that's the number of students, by the way, that we have in every grade, more or less, in this district, as 200 or so. We try to get every fifth grader to participate. Finances are obviously a big barrier. So this is just such a tremendous potential win for our community. And, you know, as we've talked about, the PTAs spend so much time and energy, trying to fund this program. We can go to the next slide. I think the other amazing thing is that this program started in San Bruno. So to come full circle and have an investment in something that started in San Bruno has had benefit to kids all across San Mateo, and plenty more. But to come back to this, is pretty amazing. And as I mentioned, yes, the PTA spends months fundraising for this trip. Every year I'm asked, is there money? Do you have anything? Can you help? What can you do? And we're always looking to see what we can do. We can go to our next slide. And that's what I mentioned. And, you know, anytime we do find additional funds, families are always extraordinarily thankful. PTAs are extraordinarily thankful. So I know how thankful families will be, PTA members, students, teachers also spend a ton of time working on this, principals, schools. So that's what I love so much about this proposal is how many different stakeholder groups this affects, in so many different ways. And yeah, as I've said, it truly would be transformational, to have this. And so I thank you for putting so much time and energy, and the report was so thorough. You know, I know there's public comment online because we've shared this proposal, and a lot of our teachers and families are super excited about it. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather, and family here. But I just really do want to appreciate so much what you all put into this. And, you know, this is my 4th year here, and we've had a lot of conversations, and just to like see this investment is really special, our proposal. So we do hope you'll vote for it. And thank you very much again.
Hello, everyone. I just really want to first echo Matt's thanks to all of you for considering this amazing proposal. Outdoor ed is really such a special thing to the school district and all the students that get to go through it in San Bruno. But actually, I am decided to present in the way I did tonight because I'm not from San Bruno. And so when my kids started school and I heard about outdoor ed, I was like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. But it was almost exhausting how much it was talked about in PTA meetings because it's like such a focus. And it wasn't until my own daughter went through outdoor ed that I realized how transformative and impactful it was. So much so that she decided on her own to make her own Shutterfly book to like remember it always forever. And I just wanted you to have the opportunity to hear from her directly about why it was so transformational to her, see a few of those photos as well. So she's going to talk to you a little bit about her experience.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Abby. I'm a 6th grader at Parkside, and I went to outdoor ed last year. And I really liked outdoor ed, mainly because I love nature, and I got to learn a lot about the ecosystem that is like 30 minutes away from us that you don't see every day. Next slide, please. So when we first get there, we do a discovery hike with our nature leader. And my group went up to a lake and swampy pond area where it was really fun because of that we could go there. And then they have clubs that you can join. And the 2 first ones I joined was in the first 10 minutes I got there, the first club we were able to do was dunking our head in a lake. And it was the end of November, very stormy that week, even though everyone still did it. It was really fun. Then another club we can do is the hardcore club, which is where every day you eat an entire apple. So it's a good, and then a ton of people now like apples because of that. Next slide. The first full day I had was Ocean Day, and we got to go to 3 ecosystems that were about a 45-minute drive from the camp. And one was a swamp area with rivers that had really cool greenery. And another was like a rocky ocean shore. And then the third one was Pebble Beach, which had another really fun clubs. And then also we got to learn about different animals and plants that live in each area. Next slide. The, the, the second full day for Big Tuesday is we got to go to the museum and go on like a 2.5 mile hike around. And we got to visit some really big redwoods because I've been there for like 1,000 years and go through the caves that are like carved from wildfires and lightning storms. And we also got to learn a lot about birds and animals that live there. Next slide. Our third full day was garden day. So we went to the garden and learned about the compost cycle and how to garden and grow your own things. And we also got to try a lot of fruits and vegetables. My favorite was pineapple guavas, which were really good. And then we also did a short hike with that we saw a lot of that we saw salamanders and that frog in the photo is a rare frog that we were really lucky to see. Next slide. And then the cabins and nighttime activities. With the cabins, there are two sides of camp, the boys' side and the girls' side. And the girls had brand new cabins that they built not that long ago, and they were really nice. I don't know if the boys. It was the nighttime activities. There are 3. Odyssey night, which is what that photo is, where kids get to go up, put on really silly costumes and do skits. The talent show, which is the final night, and nighttime hike, which is where you walk with your group in complete darkness, no flashlights, no nothing. And then if you want, you can walk to like 150 feet by yourself on a straight path, which was really fun. Next slide. And then of course there are banana slugs there, and I went on a week that was really rainy, so they were everywhere. Like we found some inside our cabin, which was really fun. So that's probably I really like seeing the banana slugs, and everyone likes talking about when we see them. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, but just hopefully you enjoyed hearing about the direct experience.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Abby. So great to see you. Thank you for being here with us. Now we'd like to give members of the public an opportunity to speak on this particular item. The foundation did receive some written public comments on this item before the meeting, and they've been distributed to the board. And they were posted on the SBCF website, compiled in a packet on the back table, and will not be read here. Are there any comments from the public?
So we have one card. If others would like to speak, if you could get your card, so then we've got your name. You want to fill out a card back there? But we'll start with the first person, Logan Law.
Okay, so hi, I'm Logan. This is my brother Ian. I go to Parkside Intermediate School and I'm in 6th grade. When I went to outdoor ed last year as a 5th grader, it was my first time away from home and I was nervous. And I am a little bit homesick. Outdoor ed taught me to appreciate nature more and take time to look around and notice the world around me. It took me to a pebble beach and we got to see 2 huge redwoods. I think outdoor ed teaches kids there's more to life than Wi-Fi and electronics. You can learn about sea creatures, different ways of dancing, how to live with other people and keep track of your stuff and take care of yourself. These are things you can't learn from school and you need it for middle school. I hope you consider creating an endowment to fund outdoor ed for San Bruno students, as it has been a core experience for my life and my friends. Thank you, San Bruno Community Foundation, for your time and your continual support for San Bruno schools.
Do we have any other speakers in person that wanted to speak? Yeah, we do have some online. We wanted to get the people in. Okay, let's go to the online books. Hold on. So we got 3 people right now online with their hands raised. Andrea Colonico, then Gavin, then Ms. Menendez. So Andrea, I'm gonna allow you to talk and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you, board, for considering this proposal. My name is Andrea Colonico. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Portola Elementary. Tonight, I'm commenting because I have seen something happen at Outdoor Ed that can simply not happen inside my classroom walls. Every year, I watch kids show up at the bus feeling small, looking nervous, hugging their parents, and just, being nervous about being away from home or stressed about being in the dark. But 5 days later, those same kids take a nap on the bus home because they're exhausted, and they step off that bus standing a full 2 inches taller. While at Jones Gulch, the students complete a solo night hike. It's just a short stretch of trail by themselves in the quiet of the woods. Kids who were terrified of the dark during the solo hike with the group just 10 minutes earlier walk that path and come out the other side beaming. In that silence, they realize just how brave they are. They realize they can trust themselves. We talk a lot about preparing kids for the future. Well, the future requires grit, empathy, and the kind of confidence you only get by overcoming a challenge. When you fully fund this, we will make sure that every San Bruno student, regardless of what's in their parents' bank account, gets to have that "I did it" moment. I see the spark in their eyes when they come back. They're more resilient, and they finally see just how capable they really are. Please, let's make sure that every 5th grader gets that night under the stars. Thank you for everything you do for our community and for our students, and I hope you consider this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, next will be Gavin. Gavin, you should be able to unmute and then speak. Gavin, can you unmute? Okay, why don't we instead go to Ms. Menendez? Wow, you to talk.
Hi, thank you for having this amazing meeting, and we are so excited for the opportunity. I'm Sara Maria Menendez. I'm one of the principals of our elementary schools on Bel Air. And I am so thrilled to hear about this proposal because a lot of our families tend to not go due to financial burdens, and so we're so excited for the opportunity to have all of our families go. I talked to a few of the 5th grade families just to get some of their experiences, some of the kids and the parents' experiences. So I have 4 different comments from our families. One is outdoor ed was an amazing experience. My daughter will never forget it. She has motivated our family to go outside more. The second comment I got was my daughter was born on a farm in our home country. She recently missed her connection coming to move here, and going to outdoor ed has reignited her spark for nature and reconnected her to something she loves so much. So that was really touching to hear. Other 2 comments are my son is now begging us to go camping and he wants to show us everything he learned at outdoor ed. This mom was telling me how she does not like camping, but is going to try her best with her son to keep the spark going. And the last comment I got was my son matured and grew so much from this experience. My family and I are so grateful. So I'm just really excited about this opportunity and so thankful for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, Gavin, we're gonna let you talk again. Can you unmute, Gavin? And speak? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm so sorry. There must be some glitch in the air with my internet. But my name is Lily Gavin. I am the fifth grade teacher, the other fifth grade teacher at Portola Elementary. And I just wanted to come on here and just say, first off, taking full credit for Logan, who is an amazing speaker. He is my former student. And that just completely made me tear up, chills, whole body chills because of how impactful outdoor ed is. I think of him and I think of other students that I maybe had to peel off of their parents to get onto the bus. And it reminds me, this was only my first year in San Bruno. I'm from Los Angeles, California, where I also actually participated in outdoor ed as a kid. But to get to come up here in the Bay and experience it as a teacher with my kids, I just want to speak on a particular student I had. Getting her on the bus was the hardest thing I had to do. She was crying, and I felt in this moment, I was like, am I forcing her to do something she doesn't want to do? And she was really hesitant to be there. But the first day, the kids had their own time with the naturalists, and they got to go tour the camp. And all of a sudden, there was a big rain that came and rained out the kids. And I was like, oh my goodness, I thought of this one student that was caught in the rain. But when I came and found her later, in just a couple of hours, the impact that was made on her, she had this smile on her face and was absolutely beaming ear to ear. And then from then, she full throttle, head on, jumped into the deep end and just had the most amazing time at outdoor ed, completing that solo hike without even asking for help, or she wasn't even scared. And so she's just one example of so many students that could be impacted by outdoor ed. So I just want to thank everyone for making this opportunity happen for San Bruno kiddos for years and years to come. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Anybody else online that would like to speak, please raise your hand. Okay, no other hands raised. Anyone else in the room that would like to speak? Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for everyone who made comments from the public. Now we'd like to receive feedback from the board, and who would like to start? Jim and then Larry.
And through the chair, if I may. First of all, I want to thank the public, especially the younger public, for speaking to us about your experiences. Could be some council member participation in the future. It takes a lot to get up and talk about what's important to you. I had the distinct privilege and pleasure of sitting on this committee, and it was great. We had a long list of things from Heather and Matt about wishes that we could possibly fulfill. And the more we talked, the more the bubble of outdoor ed came to the surface all the time. How important it was to help kids explore the outdoors, get to know each other in a different environment. And we had the opportunity, if this all goes through, to help people. They don't have to worry about how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? How many people I have to sell? And there's certain schools that really have to struggle with this, and certain faculty and stuff. So this was great. It was pretty easy. So I just without taking up too much time, I'll let you know this is very important to me. My kids went through not San Bruno schools, but went through schools in San Bruno, and they participated in that too. It just made a world of difference for them. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say, having known Gus Ryan and having had the privilege of being a counselor many years ago at Outdoor Ed, it's an outstanding program, and I don't know a better legacy project that San Bruno could have. It's really something spectacular. Looking forward to it passing.
Through the chair. Yes, thank you to everyone who presented. This has been a great glimpse into the future. My kids are in 4th and 2nd grade, so we would be looking at the large fundraising effort and all of the benefit that comes out of outdoor ed next year. But I've been watching the families at John Muir go through their fundraising this year, and it's a grind. And I know that there used to be, well, it probably fluctuates every year, how much support comes from the district. So it's really hard to predict and start fundraising early when you don't know what that amount's going to be. I had two questions, maybe for the committee and for the school district. One is around the buses. Like, I hear this come up a lot in the schools, like when we're trying to go on field trips for outdoor ed, that the cost of buses has skyrocketed. And I think I heard that the district maybe owns a couple of buses and then the rest have to be rented. That could be wrong. But I wonder if you all discussed like any opportunities to invest in bus resources that could be used for outdoor ed and additional field trips.
I can take that. We don't actually have any like large school buses. We have small vans. And we are trying to figure out ways we can use them, but they only carry 6 kids and they're usually for special needs students. So our primary partnership was with the high school district where we get buses from them. And that is cheaper, but if they're not able to do that, then we have to, you know, rent a chartered bus. And like you said, those costs have just exploded for a variety of reasons. So yeah, we're continuing to think through that as well. And it's a really relevant point.
And a second question while we have you up there is $40,000 for this school year enough? Do we have a sense of how the fundraising has been going? Like, I actually talked to the job fair folks and they said, we've been raising, we're not quite sure where we are. And so, you know, the gap between 40 and 100 is large.
Yeah, I mean, we could always take more money.
Sure.
But I also understand the tremendous generosity of this evening. So I wouldn't want to push that hard, you know, but we could always use more. We're a little bit lucky in the next 2 years or so. You know, we have a community schools grant, which supports Bel Air and Allen. So they've been using a very small bit of that money to support outdoor ed. So we have a little bit in their ballpark, but our final numbers haven't come in. Of course, if you amend that proposal and you know, add dollars to it, we'd love it, but we also understand the money can only go so far. So thank you for asking.
Through the chair. I think my impression that like my kids went through San Bruno, not the district, but they went through San Bruno school and really got a lot out of outdoor education, and I value that a lot. And this particular legacy aspect of it, I felt really connected with that. It would provide for all of the 5th graders. The fact that it's across all of the students of that grade is very compelling. So thank you.
Through the chair, I just want to again say how this being on this committee was just so heartfelt for me in the sense that we really had some colorful conversations about how we could really again have this legacy of the money that restitution funds that we have through the community foundation, how we could support the community of St. Bruno. So when we landed on outdoor ed, it just really again just was very heartfelt for me, particularly because again, not many of you know, I did attend El Cristo School a long time ago, and it was Gus Zorian who actually helped me actually afford the trip to outdoor ed. So that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'll never ever forget it. I'll never forget the experience and how transformative it really is. And I'm also happy to see through the pictures, thank you, that it really hasn't changed much. Again, the night walk was amazing, scary. I was, you know, kind of thinking on a night like that. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be super scary and everything else. But I'm glad that again they had beach day, that they had the walk down to the ponds and things like that, and I actually was one of the brave souls that actually did lift the banana sled. So, again, I'd love to experience, I'm super happy that we're able to even have this option to be able to provide out to the community of Sanford, especially the ones or the families that cannot afford it. So just want to say thank you.
I just want to acknowledge Abby and Logan for speaking in front of us today. I know it takes an enormous amount of courage. You both are so young and articulate, and I hope that I can hire you both when you're old enough to work. Would love to see you work in community with me. But I also just want to acknowledge the other speakers who spoke this evening on behalf of this proposal. I think it's so important. I think when we were meeting as a committee and then also meeting with Matt and Heather, you know, I'm the kind of person that's so always the underdog. I wanna do everything, and I wanna support it and financially give to all the projects and programs that were proposed. But I think outdoor ed felt the most, it resonated the most with me, and it was probably the best fit in terms of what the board really wants to see is something that's lasting and is a legacy project where it can support the fifth graders and their families for many years to come. Which is why the endowment was such an important thing for us to really research and think about really strategically to ensure that there would be funding to help offset the cost that this cost for the families. One, I love that it alleviates the pressure off the teachers, off the families, off the PT, all the stakeholders that Matt spoke about, and sort of how every year they're always getting together and trying to figure it out and make this work so that all of the fifth graders can go. And so hopefully if this proposal is voted on and is passed this evening, then you can help tell all these great families that their fifth graders can go to outdoor ed. So I love that. And also just recognizing that, so one, I went to outdoor ed like a couple of years ago. But I also was a counselor when I got into high school. So I have a very significant reverence for the great experience and transformative experience that outdoor ed really has. And so I'm definitely someone who wants to see this happen for the San Bruno community. And I also like the fact that San Bruno's the school district is going to be like one of the only districts in the entire county that's going to have fifth graders being able to go, because I like things like that. Okay. So any other comments from the board? Anything last minute? Yes, please.
Yeah. Quick question on managing the funds ourselves through the quasi endowment. Do we incur any additional costs with Sandhill by restarting them, or is that covered under our existing?
It's the same, you pay the same fee to Sandhill to manage the strategic and quasi endowment, so whether it's in one fund or the other, is no different.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we've looked at the policy, Sandhill and I have looked at our policies, because even though we zeroed out quasi endowment, we didn't technically get rid of it as a vehicle that the foundation can use. We didn't change our policies, so all of the policies are still in place. The account, I believe, technically still exists. It just has a balance of zero. So it's very easy for Sandhill to restart it. We would restart the timeline, right? Because you don't want to sort of compare this to what it looked like before when you look at it historically. So it would be quite sort of a designated quasi endowment. But administratively should not be a problem at all for Sandhill.
Awesome. Thank you to all of the feedback and conversation on the board. Definitely recognizing that the buses was something that was of interest to ensure to see if the school district already had buses or how that was going to be supported by this particular proposal. And also is $40,000 enough for this year? And also hearing that there's an enormous gratitude that's already coming from the district regarding what is being proposed this evening. And then also the I'm sorry.
Just regarding the 40,000, my understanding is that this night was for discussion and then the next time is for voting on it. And if the board was interested, I'm sure Matt can go back to the PTAs and find out the exact amount needed if it were to exceed 40,000. If you wanted to consider a different amount. It's hard for him to provide that number on the spot tonight, but if you would like a different number, I'm sure one could be provided over the next month.
Thank you.
Just as an option.
Thank you. And then also the question that was raised in terms of Sand Hill managing the quasi, if there was any additional costs, and it sounds like this is already included in sort of the services that they're already providing to manage our projects that we have with them. So I want to thank again everyone who's made comments. This committee will take what has been discussed tonight and return with a final proposal for the board considering approving. Ideally at our next meeting in March, so that the school district and the PTAs can know whether they will receive any funding for the current school year, and so we can move the funds to the quasi endowment soon. Great, so that concludes that particular item.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you all are more than welcome to.
Thank you.
You can hang out with me. Moving on to item B, receive report on programs. I'll turn it over to Leslie to give that report.
Great. Okay, just a quick report on our active strategic grants that are in place already. So first off is the Crestmore Fields project grant, based on the board's action at the last meeting. I'm working on an amendment to the grant agreement for that grant, that will do two main things. It'll increase the grant amount by 1.952, $1,952,400, so that the total grant amount will be $5,352,400. It will also then extend the grant period to March 31st, 2028. Construction is supposed to go through to late 2027 is what the timeline says. The city asked for an extra quarter just in case, expenses kind of dribble over after it's completed. So we'll give them until March 31st. We also will likely tweak one of the 4 requirements in the grant agreement that must be met prior to the payment of any portion of the grant funds from the foundation to the city. We set up those 4 requirements originally because at the time the original grant was made, the city didn't have the land yet from the school district. It was more of an idea of a project, but there still had a lot of work to be done. So we wanted to make sure that the project was real. The city was committed to it. The city had committed the additional funds needed to finish the project because we were putting up half of the money. We wanted to make sure that we would put in our money and then the project doesn't get finished. So one requirement is that was confirmation that the grantee, meaning the city, received a land dedication of 5.3 acres on the site of the former Crestmore High School to be used for athletic fields. And the reasoning for the requirement is we wanted to make sure the city actually owned the land before we started to give them the money. And at the time we executed the grant agreement, the assumption was that that land dedication would happen before really construction began. But what the city has informed me is that the developer Toll Brothers has granted what's known as an irrevocable offer of dedication, or an IOD, for 3.5 acres of the former Crestmore High School site to the city for the soccer fields, and that the way they've arranged it, the city plans to accept the IOD upon completion of the construction of the fields. So the city will not formally own the land until the fields are fully constructed. The city has submitted already several quarterly grant reports documenting expenses. Thus far, it's fairly low up till now. But because the 4 requirements hadn't been met, we have not paid them anything. Due to the large size of the grant, now it's more than $5 million, the city has requested that it receive at least some portion of the funds prior to the completion of the construction project because it needs to pay its bills to the contractor. It's a reasonable request. The city has received an irrevocable offer of dedication, so it can't be taken back. And the intent is, of course, they've committed the money to the project. They are fully committed to this project. It makes sense to modify the grant agreement so that payment, the requirement for the payment is that The city provides confirmation that Toll Brothers has granted the city an irrevocable offer of dedication for the 5.3 acres to be used for the athletic fields, and that the city intends to accept such IOD upon completion of the construction of the athletic fields. So we're in the process of making those changes to the amendment, of finalizing the amendment to make those changes to the grant agreement. We are going to execute it once the city has actually executed its agreement, its development agreement with Toll Brothers. The city council did approve it. They've been working through the legal language to finalize it. As I understand it, it has not been executed yet. Although they're hoping it gets resolved soon. There's the basic improvement agreement that the city and Toll Brothers are signing, which was based on the base project. Then the city, came to us for the lighting, and we approved that. So the lighting will be an amendment to that improvement agreement. So once the improvement agreement is executed and the amendment is executed, we'll then have our amendment with the city executed, and the grant will be fully in place. So that's where we are on that grant, but it is moving forward. On the San Bruno Narita Sister City grants.
Sheriff,
Oh,
I
sure.
question. You said there was 5.3 acres,
Mhm.
and then I believe I may have misheard. I thought you referred to 3 point something acres.
No, it's 5.3.
It's 5.3.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the part for the field specifically.
Right.
I think the city's actually getting like 9 acres of the entire high school
Yeah,
lot.
I thought I had heard,
No,
you said-
sorry.
So if it's 5.3, that's, that
5.3.
answers my question. Thank you.
Yep. With regard to the San Bruno Narita Sister City grants, as you recall, we gave combination of the city and the Ed Foundation 3-year grants totaling $109,000 to support the sister city relationship with Narita, Japan. I've already notified you this by email, but just wanted to reiterate that they are launched their first fundraising dinner, which they're calling the Narita Supporters Dinner Bridge to Narita, scheduled for the evening of March 7th, right here in the rack. It's going to be a fundraiser for the Sister City Exchange program, and hopefully it will become an annual event. President Natani Jones will be speaking at the event about our commitment to the relationship and the program. And we invite, everyone is welcome to buy a ticket and attend. It is a fundraiser. Invite your friends as well. We want to make it, our hope is that this relationship becomes more of a community relationship and not really just the kids at Parkside that are the ones who get to go to Japan. So we're hoping that it will be a broader event. There also will be a kickoff event in Centennial Plaza when the Narita delegation comes in late March. So that's where that is. In terms of grant reports and grant payments, we had a series of 4 different grant reports that were due at the end of January. All 4 were received on time. We had a final grant report from the Ed Foundation on the athletic field improvements grant. So that grant, we have paid it fully out, and they have accounted for spending those funds. That one is done. We received the interim grant report for the quarter from the city for the Crestmore Fields project. Again, we have not paid anything out on that though. And then we received interim grant reports from both the Ed Foundation and the city for the Narita grants. So they're all caught up on those. I also dispersed the year 2 grant payments for the 2 Narita grants per the disbursement schedule for the respective grant agreements. So $11,000 went to the city in January and $20,000 to the Ed Foundation. That is where we are on all the other active grants.
Thank you, Leslie. Are there any questions from the public on this item?
There is no hands raised online.
Okay. Any comments from the board? Questions? Okay. There are no other comments or questions from the board. That concludes the report on other programs. Thank you. Item number 8, board member comments. Would any board member like to comment? Any comments from the public?
No hands raised.
Okay. The next two agenda items will take place in closed session. The first item is the public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 for the executive director. The second is a conference with labor negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. This item is to discuss any adjustments to the executive director's compensation. The agency designated representative is myself, Board President Melissa Nathaniel Jones. The underrepresented employee is the executive director. Before we go into closed session, would any members of the public like to address the board on agenda items 9 and 10?
There are no hands raised online.
Okay. Before we go into, we will now go into closed session. We will adjourn the meeting after the closed session items will not be returning to the public meeting. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 4th, 2026 at 7 p.m. here at the RAC. Thank you very much.